It's been a while. The roads were a little empty. Places where we used to gather went quiet. We've gone through a year that tested us. But we're starting to see the promise of a new day. For more than 100 years, there's one place where we all came together to be entertained, to escape, to go someplace new. The movies. There's nothing like that moment when the lights go down. The projector ignites. And we believe.
Everything is Barbie.
How do you wanna do the clap
We can
or
just
whatever?
clap on 3.
Okay.
On 3. So
Yes.
let's start it. On 3. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Cool.
That
I did
hopefully.
the same thing.
Okay.
Do you want to do it again just in case?
Yeah, we'll do it again just to be extra safe here.
Cool.
1, 2, 3.
Cool.
Okay, we should be
I don't
good.
think my mic necessarily picks them up, but that is literally like a clap.
Not over Discord, but
Yeah.
Hello everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Happy Campers, but not just another episode of Happy Campers. Maybe the most important. Maybe the entire reason that Happy Campers existed in the first place is this episode of Happy Campers.
We can't start this off normally. I think we have to break from tradition. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna say 1, 2, 3, and then I'm gonna start. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. You want to start?
And then we're starting this episode.
Okay.
So,
All right. I'll let you start it.
So I'm gonna say 1, 2, 3, and then just be silent for a sec.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3. So every now and again, a piece of media comes out that can change the world. Every now and again, there are pieces of vital cinema, vital TV, vital music, the Beatles, Titanic, just things that are cultural makers. An audience, this happened this weekend. The world as we know it is not the same because, folks, the Barbie movie came out. Hello, Dem.
Hey. Hi.
Hello, Dem, my good friend.
Hello, Coffee, my good friend and friend of Barbie.
Folks, we're gonna change from tradition here a little bit. I know in the last episode we said that our next episode was gonna be on the hit film Showgirls, and we will do it.
It'll be
it.
soon. We're Showgirls will probably be the actual next one after this, but
Showgirls deserves its time. Yeah, Showgirls will get its time, don't you worry. But I think it would have been unfair to do anything other than the hit film Barbie 2023.
When we started this, it really didn't pass through my mind that Barbie was a movie that was coming out and was like real. But in a lot of ways, you could say that the purpose of this show is for us to talk about the Barbie film, which is a perfect film on every front, and is cinema. It's back.
So let's do cinema's back.
Cinema's
Nicole
back.
Kidman's right. Nicole Kidman made that AMC ad of her sitting saying that sometimes heartbreak feels good in a place like this.
You know,
We come here to laugh, we come here to cry. Nicole Kidman wrote that entire speech about this movie.
so there's the Nicole Kidman one, but there's also my favorite variation of that, which I don't know if you've ever seen. But there's a Vin Diesel variation for the Fast and Furious, where he gets out of a car that's like speeding by. He like speeds and he does like a cool turn, and then he gets out of the car. As it's moving, like an Akira slide. It's a cool shot,
yeah.
you know.
Exactly.
Then he gets out, and then he goes, "There's no place like the movies."
Are you serious?
Yeah,
Is that real?
Yes, I swear to God, it's real.
That's incredible.
He says there's no place like
No
the
pla-
movies, and it's I think about that. There truly is no place like the movies.
Much
you get the popcorn, you get the people around you, you get the people in their pink outfits. It's great.
Much like how the Barbie film is, kind of an allegory and kind of uses imagery and the thematics from The Wizard of Oz, so does Vin Diesel. There's no place like cinema.
He's so right for it too.
He's so right for that.
There's no place like cinema.
So, to begin us off on this important adventure, what was your experience with the lead up to this film? Because I think the discussion about this film textually is going to be written and talked about for years to come. I don't think we should veer too much into the actual film itself. We'll talk about elements of it, but we're not going to spoil everything because, of course, this is a cultural moment. Everyone go see this film.
Yeah, I mean, I would say we should approach this as if coming from not totally spoiling it or going. I don't think we should do our normal. Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, I don't know. It's a weird one because it did just come out.
We'll see how it goes.
This is by far the most recent film that has ever released. So it puts us in a weird situation where we'll probably still do a summary of it to some degree, but I think we're also generally vastly more interested in talking about the things that are interesting and unique about this film because there's a lot of things that are good. I think approaching this with the idea that the people listening to it have also seen the film Barbie.
Okay.
Is a good, because there's a lot of things to talk about.
There's a lot to talk about.
There's a lot more to talk about in the film Barbie than I think anybody was anticipating the film Barbie to have to say.
No, I knew. I have to say I knew that this was going to be. I knew that this was going to change things.
There's a lot. It's very good, but yeah, no. In terms of, we should probably start. We got to start at the beginning. We got to bring it back.
Yeah.
We got to start at the beginning. Where when the Barbie film was announced, I know me and you were excited about it because the pure idea of it was like, oh, that's cute, that's camp, that's everything we need.
This could be what we want.
It could be the film.
Return to a form of potentially comedic camp comedy that has kind of disappeared in modern cinema.
Yeah.
And obviously for me and you who have a podcast about this kind of stuff, I don't think we necessarily we're excited for it, but we did not have it necessarily as a game changer. We were excited, but we'll just see what happens. And then the film's marketing began. And I don't think I have seen a film in modern history attempt to do what this film has done with marketing. It changed the world. Everything was pink.
It's true. It was so pink.
There was, you could get Barbie tampons, you could get Barbie food, Barbie phones, Barbie makeup, Barbie clothing. It was everywhere, and no one considered it odd. There was no moment when anyone I knew, yourself, obviously, us to a degree, were excited for it.
Yeah.
But, Joe Soap walking down the road.
Yeah.
Everyone was excited for this thing, and I've never seen it. I've never seen a mania. It was a Barbie mania, and it still is.
There was. I feel like at first it was just the gays being like, Barbie time. Let's fucking go. Let's rock.
Barbie time.
And then it also became the stupid Oppenheimer thing. Stupid Barbieheimer.
Yes. So
that happened to be a thing that I don't really give a shit about. I don't care about Christopher Nolan's films. I think whatever Oppenheimer is about is probably less intelligent than the Barbie film, frankly.
Sorry, movie bros. This is going to be a podcast where we are one of the only movie podcasts that will not talk about Oppenheimer.
I have zero. I will probably maybe watch it eventually, but I truthfully don't really care about his filmography past Inception.
Don't care.
I don't really care
at all.
So I will probably maybe see it, but boy, seeing them back to back would be wild because I think they might actually be two movies that are about the same subject.
Potentially. I mean, I'm not necessarily sure on the specifics of what the film. Obviously, just, bombs and stuff like that. But I cannot tell you what Oppenheimer is about.
They both have do with the act of creation.
Did me and you think that this film was going to, like, Barbie was going to be what it ended up becoming? Maybe not.
I thought Barbie, when everything I had seen from Barbie seemed like it was going to be a camp, fun, like, musical that, they said they were going into the real world. I figured, okay, it's gonna be like a fish out of water comedy. It's just gonna be a good rollicking good time, and it was that. What I did not expect from the Barbie film.
And then
What I did not expect from the Barbie film was to have me feel emotions and cry multiple times during the Barbie film. But the Barbie film decided that that's what it was going to throw down at me. And
so,
you know what? Good job. Good job for that.
I am a big fan. I am a huge fan of Greta Gerwig. I legitimately think she's maybe one of the most, like, unique voices of our generation in terms of creating.
I've never seen a single one of her other films,
so,
unfortunately.
Her big, like, kind of breakout film was Lady Bird, which is a really sweet, kind of like biopic about a girl. It's part romance, part coming of age story. It's really sweet. It's our friend Hazel once likened it to girl version of Malcolm in the Middle. And I agree in every way.
Hang on. Now
yeah, no, you would love this film. You would love that. You would love Lady Bird. It is a film about growing up post 9/11.
All right. Yeah, well, it's got my favorites already in there.
They talk about that event a lot in the movie specifically. But it's about, like, growing up poor and understanding yourself as, like, queer or different or maybe straight, who knows, and then, like, growing up with a difficult family. It's a very relatable film in a lot of different ways, but Greta is a director who approaches kind of even the smallest elements of her films with the most big-brained, third eye ass shit possible.
Yeah.
And
given this film,
given this film, and I like Little Woman is really sweet for what it is. I mean, that's more just a traditional kind of adaptation of a classic literature and stuff like that. But it's got really great performances by everyone in it. And obviously, as I'm saying, these films, like, they are films about women. Greta is a cinema auteur. She is a director whose main eye and main premise is films about women first and then the human condition. And that is what we got with the Barbie movie, to the degree where I left this cinema, Nicki Minaj screaming in my ears, tears rolling down my face. And my friend Casey turns to me and says, "What did you think of the flick?" And I turned to them, looked them dead in the eyes, and said, "I think Greta is going to change the world." This film is going to change the world. Yeah, and I mean this 100% unironically, Dan. I don't even know how to talk about it.
I mean, it is fair, because the things that movie does are it definitely feels
poignant,
like one of the most important movies in, like, a decade.
Yeah.
And it is kind of a shame that it's going to be discounted because of people being too dumb to look into it in any meaningful way, or give it any sort of flowers that it deserves. Because that movie,
I think. That movie, you're crediting it to, like, a degree of. I understand what you mean of, like, Barbie and Oppenheimer are the meme movies currently, but
my worry is that because Barbie is Barbie, and Barbie is a film that is seen as a film geared towards children, despite the fact that it's clearly pointed towards adults and, like, specifically like 30-year-olds that are feeling certain emotions about life and about how fucking rough it is. Despite the fact that it's very clearly pointed at adults and, like, very clearly for things and about these certain issues in a very intelligent and well-constructed way, I think the fact that it's a Barbie film means most people are going to be like, yeah, but it's not that important because it's just a movie about toys.
But you have to you have to acknowledge that the film's marketing, the film's Barbenheimer-esque attempt to get people into seats, it has worked. Because
it's worked.
Even if you
successful.
have the worries of this film is not going to be acknowledged to the degrees that it should be, or like it's not going to get its flowers due to the fact that it's considered a children's film, the level of criticism I have to levy against kind of that level of thinking is, yes, this is a film designed for children. I mean, designed for adults, but this is going to do so much positive elements for children going forward if they see this film. If you bring a little boy to this film, he's one of the good ones. He's a good one.
One of the good ones.
if you let a straight boy see this film,
my God,
he will be. You've solved it. You've solved the problem.
Yeah, I mean you would have. Yeah, because it's a very. It is a very good film.
Okay. Let's break this down to a degree, because tell the audience, what did you wear? Did you do the full pink?
Yeah, we should get into the experience. So a big part of Barbie is the actual cinema experience itself, which I think first off,
I will say, Dem, we would never say this about a single other film.
No,
We'd be like, I hate cinemas. I hate people
correct.
eating popcorn. I hate people on their phones. It's the fucking worst.
I could never hate people eating popcorn because I love popcorn. Popcorn's great.
No, but you know what I mean.
I love the movies.
As Vin Diesel once said.
I love the movies. Yes, Barbie is definitely a unique one in that it got people like active. The last time I remember people going to the cinema and like actively dressing up and doing like cosplays and outfits and all this stuff was like maybe Avengers Endgame or something like that.
Yeah.
Because that was like one of the other big ones. But Barbie, the Barbenheimer thing definitely helped, because even though that's a meme and even though it's kind of an annoying meme, it has helped the sales of both things consistently, which is good, and I hope the studios pull from it. But the experience of Barbie was every single person in my theater was wearing pink. Every single person in my theater was also a woman. There was like one other guy. And then
I was actually quite shocked. My crew was like a good mix. Like my audience experience was, obviously, granted, the ones who were going the hardest were like women, queer people, like the very audible, visible people who were excited for this film. But like I saw families in pink, like mothers, fathers, like entire groups of children.
Yeah. Like everybody kind of was just like, we got to put pink on for Barbie.
We have to do it. There was no element of like sneering or it being a joke. A perfect example is I was late to go see it. So all my friends had already gotten to it, and me and my friend Casey got a taxi because we missed our bus. So we got in the taxi and we were all decked out in pink, and the taxi driver turns around to us and says, "Well, I guess you're not going to Oppenheimer then." And like, he was clued in to understand what that means, but like the discussion that happened after it was in no way like, haha, use it to fucking like male identifying people going to go see, like visually identifying people going to go see like the Barbie movie. There was no like joke, there was no sneering, there was no like, haha, look at these fruits.
Love. It's all love for the Barbie movie.
The taxi driver legitimately was like, yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. It looks hilarious, and I'm also gonna go see Oppenheimer, like maybe at some point as well. But like, he kept being like, I'm glad people are going like to the movies again. I was like, oh, that's so sweet.
Yeah,
but
that's definitely a big thing.
It worked. Like, it legitimately did bring people back. That was like the minute I got into the cinemas, that was the busiest I have ever seen that cinema. Like,
oh yeah,
people were crowding around.
We were in a packed showing where every single seat was taken. We had just went to like a local theater, and it being like a local nearby theater means that, granted, we got less of the families because this theater's in like a weird spot, and so it tends to be frequented more by like adults, which is kind of why I like it. But it only has like 2 screens in it. And they filled both those bad boys up with Barbie, and then we're just
great,
blasting Barbie.
Oppenheimer wasn't showing then.
There is no Oppenheimer even in that theater.
You know that the people who are running that theater are reals. They know.
they
know.
They picked the better film. They bet their money. But yeah, no, I mean, like, everybody was pink and wearing little dresses and stuff. I got my girlfriend to dress up. I threw on a little pink sweater that I have, just to have something. And we sat for Barbie, not knowing what to expect. After taking perhaps an edible or two.
Perfect.
And it was cinema.
It really was, and I don't mean to
there was like, when the movie started, I need you to understand, when the projector dude was like, I'm gonna go turn off the lights and turn on the movie, my theater erupted into what I would describe as the loudest cheers known to mankind. And once the film started, there was hooting and hollering as that film began.
I was gonna say, who out of your audience got the biggest, like, when they first appeared on screen? Who got the biggest cheer?
The big for Barbie.
Really, Margot? Oh, okay, that's interesting.
When Barbie first appeared, there weren't really people cheering for, like, it's not like every single character got introduced with like a Metal Gear cutscene that paused.
Well, they kind of did, like. They did, because they were introduced and their names did, like, flash up, or, like, the narrator said.
Actually, you're right. Maybe they actually did do exactly that. Maybe there is kind of a introduction to a lot of the Barbie characters, huh?
I'm gonna say, specifically, the one character that got the biggest rowdy, like, everyone screaming, was Michael Cera.
Okay, I was about to guess
Alan.
if it was Michael Cera.
What a force Michael Cera is. Like, I really kind of assumed his character was going to be a bit player and only have a few lines. He really was in the movie, huh?
He was really in the movie. I mean, he's still kind of a bit player, and, like, that's kind of the point.
Yeah,
but
that's a joke.
He wasn't. I thought he was going to be like a one-off, like, talks like twice character, and he wasn't that. In fact, John Cena was more of that.
I didn't even know John Cena was in the movie because they didn't market it. They didn't say John Cena was. Well, no, like, they did, but do you remember when the film originally got its, like, cast reveal and everyone had the little, this Barbie is a politician, this Barbie is blah blah. John Cena wasn't in that cast.
He was not.
reveal.
He was in, like, a secondary one, because he only shows up for like 2 seconds in the entire film.
Yeah, he's with him and Dua Lipa are the mermaids.
They're having a good time over there.
We gotta give some credit to Dua Lipa. Dua Lipa showed up on the set of this film. She loved it so much, and then Greta Gerwig. This is actually, like, Greta Gerwig was like, "Okay, I love the fact that, like, your song is, like, the main song in the movie. Thanks so much. It was so great. Do you want to stick around?
Would you like to be
and
in my
film?"
Like,
"Sorry, what?" And Dua was like, "Well, we've got this mermaid outfit."
Good.
It's like. And Dua Lipa, famed not an actress, Dua Lipa, is just like, all right, I'll be a mermaid.
I mean, she only had that, like, one line or so it worked out. There's
so much to unpack.
There is a ton to unpack, but yeah. So my experience starting was, movie started by the time the title dropped. When that title dropped, that theater, I feel like, made more noise than, like, I feel like it would have been the equivalent of, like, the atom bomb going off in Oppenheimer next to me.
Yeah.
Because it was loud. Everybody was very excited for Barbie. But no, it was very nice going with an opening, because I don't normally. So when I go to the movies, first off, last one I went to live, like, in theaters, was the Mario movie, because I just wanted to see it.
You didn't see Spider-Verse in cinemas?
Oh, I did see Spider-Verse in the cinemas. And that was also good. That movie's also way too fucking long, by the way. But
I disagree. I keep hearing people talking about
it's like 3 hours. It's like 3 hours.
Yeah, that's fine.
It it was very, very pretty, and I was okay with it because it was very pretty. Regardless, none of this is a digression.
Yeah, this is not a Spider-Verse podcast.
Anyway, so I saw those two movies in theaters last, and while there was like occasionally some like excitement in the crowd, because I don't normally go like day one, like I went with Bart. I should say I went day one. I went Thursday.
You went day zero.
I went day zero.
Technically
I went
released on Friday.
to like the preview screening that was nearby.
Yeah.
To see it early, and getting that excitement with the crowd, I will admit, was phenomenal. Like they
really
loved, they ate up every joke, every song was great. You know, everybody was just having a good time with Barbie, and it was a wonderful experience that enhanced it for me.
Yeah, and it is. I will like want the audience of this podcast to understand. Like, I understand there's an element of kind of being excited for product, like large corporate product, blah 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 blah. That could be cringe. Gang, this movie acknowledges that.
It sure does.
This movie says, yeah, it's cringe to like big product thing that is like forced into your brain and everyone goes see it on day one and claps. This is not meant to be a thing that is lauded or beloved. This is a film that has so much to say about the human condition, both Hollywood, both film, both existing, both feminism, that you kind of have to laugh along with it. You have to experience it in the joy that it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's also just a very well-made film.
It understands who it's for, and from my viewing experience of seeing it in the cinemas, everyone who it was for adored it. Like, every woman I know, every queer person, every non-binary person, every trans person I have talked to has gushed about this film. And I don't think like people understand that yet, you know?
No, yeah, I mean, so when I came out of the theater, I immediately texted Coffee, and I was like, this is one of the most important films I think I've ever seen.
And like, so many people would be like, I'm glad that you texted me that, because I'm sure so many people were like, all right, Dem, lol. I was like, yeah, of course. I understand. Like, I'm not gonna say that and see that as like any sense of like a joke, because I know Dem is being serious.
Yeah, it absolutely was 100%. Like, the ending of that film is phenomenal. I walked out of theater and was just like, boy, I really can't wait to talk about Coffee, or talk about this with Coffee, because oh boy. I mean, we've kind of danced around it. We've talked about getting into the theater, you know, dressing up, living our little gay lives, wearing our little pink dresses, you know, all of this. So for the film, what did you get in terms of like I just grabbed some popcorn, I grabbed some nachos, and then I got myself cider to sip on.
I was unfortunately late, so I did not get any snacks or anything. Well, don't you worry, I'm seeing this movie multiple times. So I'll do the consumerist version next time.
Yeah.
But I got there, I was in my gay little outfit, I wore pink Barbie shorts, I wore a tank top that said Barbie on it.
Okay, that's fitting,
yeah,
of course.
I wore a pink snapback, and I wore heart sunglasses, and I was quite stoned. So, like, the usual wants to see a film, like I saw it in the perfect state.
Did you, out of curiosity, so I grabbed a pic of my fit, which is significantly more lame.
Oh yeah, no, don't worry, I have
perfect,
pics,
because what I might do is I might put them on in the video version, or at least somewhere.
Oh yeah, smart. We'll tweet them as well,
so that they can see our fits for this outfit. Yeah, we should also tweet them. But yeah,
and everyone else,
you went
like,
way out. You went way.
Well, of course I did.
I've seen the outfit, and you went way out for it. I put on like a thick sweater, and Coffee over here like constructed
an entire. I dyed my hair. I bleached my hair for this film, and I don't think you understand. That is not a joke. That is not the 100% sincere. I did it out of knowing that this film would change my brain chemistry, and for once it worked.
It worked.
For once, I went to go see a film I was excited for, and it spoke to me on such a visceral level I have never seen before.
Yeah, I have to watch more of her films now. I feel like it is how I'm feeling after Barbie, because like I know of her and I know she did other stuff that was like really well received, but none of it was particularly like my kind of thing. I'm not really into a lot of the type of stuff she's putting down, because a lot of it seems like it's very serious.
They're of what they are. There's always a levity and like a kindness to her movies, but I think out of all of them, you would really love Lady Bird. There's a lot in there that speaks to your exact life, like path in a way.
It does. It sounds like it.
It's very sweet. It's a very good film. And like it's interesting going forward of her career, because she's someone who really like someone like a Wes Anderson or like a Tarantino has favorite actors and stuff, like you always see. She really broke away from that tradition for Barbie. Like her cast was kind of popular and famous, but in a way that isn't literal. Like the fact that, yes, when you cast the film, I'd say the most obvious casting is someone like Margot Robbie. That makes 100% sense for Barbie. But then you get into more like auxiliary characters, and you have someone like Ken. Unfortunately, in modern like film casting, that would go to Chris Pratt.
It sure would.
Greta, as a real icon, she saw past that bullshit and she cast the perfect man.
She did.
Who is Ryan Gosling?
We have to get into this film.
Chapter 1, Ryan Gosling is the best actor ever.
Chapter 1. Yes, but also every single casting choice in this film. Like Ryan Gosling is getting a lot of flowers, and that's great. Every single other actor that has acted a character in this film is phenomenal. There is
Who was your favorite?
Trying to think. I mean, I really liked the actress playing the weird Barbie was very good.
Oh, Kay McKinnon.
She was lovely. I really liked America.
Oh my god.
I really liked. I mean, Margot Robbie is fucking aces. Ryan Gosling's aces. I don't even need to say that because they're just aces. They did it. You know what the most actual genuine surprise was? Will Ferrell, because I don't really like Will Ferrell that much. Like, he's fine. I think he's a really good actor, but I think a lot of the time he gets put in films to play a very specific type of character, and I don't particularly care for that type of character. I don't like the overly dumb, like Adam Sandler comic character, because a lot of the time it just feels a little too much. In this, it felt perfect.
Yeah.
He was perfect.
He was kind of sparingly used in a way that I was not expecting.
Yeah, he feels like actually utilized for once in his goddamn career.
He's not in the film very much, but anytime he is used, it's kind of perfect in almost every way. He got some of the biggest laughs in the entire audience for me.
It really feels like Greta just knows how to utilize him more than I think most directors do.
Greta knows how to utilize every actor.
For sure, she does.
Ever. There's an element of Greta's films that I really love. There's a detail behind all of them where every cast member, so like backstage or not, has to be in costume in her films. So everyone who worked on Lady Bird had to be in very specific lounge athleisure wear or kind of comfier outfits to be on set because she wanted it to feel a lot warmer as a set. So even like people who were working cameras and stuff were just in usual outfits and stuff. But for Barbie, everyone who was in the background production side had to wear pink jumpsuits, which is such a perfect detail that isn't needed in any way, but she is so committed to the visual aesthetic of her films to a point where, like, this film doesn't look like a modern 2003 big budget film, doesn't it? It does not look like what I would imagine the biggest film of this summer looking like.
No, yeah, it doesn't look at all like what you would think a movie from this era would look like at all. Because it looks instead like a movie that is constructed with color and brightness and joy. which isn't allowed anymore. It's not allowed. You're not allowed to have that anymore.
When I saw people comparing it as a mixture of 90s rom-coms and The Wizard of Oz, I was like, what does that look like? And, folks, it's this film.
It sure is.
This film's sense of scale and scope is unparalleled to a point where I'm not gonna spoil too much. The film does break down reality towards the end,
Sure does.
in a way that I was not expecting. It is glorious. It is, and it's not used for nihilism or sadness or introspectiveness. It's used for almost a celebration of what the characters are and what they can be. And I think the film's climax is technically a lot earlier than what it actually is, because the film is, I would argue, kind of oddly paced, but I kind of liked that element of it. I think the film's crucial, climactic emotional moment is when America Ferrera has her speech.
Yes.
And it genuinely, I could feel myself crying, but the entire audience was broken after that sequence because it is so poignant. It is so beautiful to understand what the human condition is and how farcical and disgusting it is. And for someone who has probably not gotten the best career choices in her life, she is an incredible actress.
She's great. She was wonderful in it.
I was blown away by her in this film. It is her film in my brain because even textually it technically is, because she is the real person who plays with the Barbie.
We've talked all this time, but I don't think we've actually explained the premise of the film.
Oh, come on. People know. Okay, well, the premise of the film.
People, I think, at least have some idea. Because what I knew going in was, the general description is Barbie goes to the real world on, her little road trip. So I was thinking rom-com, fish out of the water thing.
Yeah, fish out of the water,
and
sure.
it is that for 30 minutes.
Well, it is a classic, 90s road trip movie for a good 90 minutes of it.
It is this film
pretty traditionally structured.
To actually describe its genre is fairly wild because it really does feel a lot like Greta sort of just freeform jazzing it and creating a film.
Yeah.
And it works. It works remarkably well. Because yes, it is about a road trip, and then it becomes not about a road trip, and instead it becomes kind of an allegory for growing up for a little bit.
Pretty much. And
it does some interesting things in that little space that it decides to play in that I find particularly interesting.
That's a good way to put it, Dem. It does feel like the film is playing.
It sure does.
It has a sense of forward momentum, not in a traditional sense, but how a child's brain formulates the story. It doesn't have to have a hero's journey. It doesn't have to have a beginning, middle, and end.
It really does.
It's played
feel
entirely
like that,
on. It's played on emotion and what the characters want in immediacy, which is a very visceral thing to see in such a bright, colorful way that I think some people would find kind of off-putting, but I found it so horribly raw.
I thought it was that playfulness with it, I think makes it land very, very well, because it's soothing you into a sense of you think you know what this movie is going to be. It's Barbie. You feel it's gonna be a rom-com at you. It's gonna be like a fun little romp. It's gonna not be a movie where you have to think too much about is what you think going in. And then 10 minutes into the film, Margot Robbie drops a line that is one of my favorite line reads in a film.
Yeah. That entire dance sequence when they're doing the choreographed dance at her party.
Yes. Yeah.
I think is some of the. There are 3 moments I cried in this movie, and that was one of them. And it wasn't out of sadness or human expression or whatever.
Joy,
I was having such a good time. I was just this is what I want.
Yeah. That was going on. I was
this is everything I want.
I was so into it.
And like the choreographed Kens trying to vie for her like attention during that scene is so
It's perfect.
funny and expertly played out. And you know one real detail I love about the Ken concept in this film? They didn't make it gay.
They
Like,
did not.
they didn't need to.
They did not
Which
at
was
all,
so...
really.
They had so much even on their own to work with that they didn't even need to make them gay. And that's what, like, Greta has such a fucking knack for making characters who seem one-dimensional on themselves, like, pivot back into
Yeah.
themselves. And this whole movie is that. It's one-dimensionality, like, forced through a lens of a comedy. And then it just goes full end of Evangelion towards a certain degree.
It does. Like, so the thing with it is I feel like she, a lot of the time, avoided the simple thing. Because, like, with Ken, yeah, there's the idea, a lesser director, given the Barbie film, would do something stupid like make it a joke about Ken being gay or whatever. Greta, instead, big brain, the biggest brand choice of all decides instead, what if instead of making the simple choice of that, which is boring and lame and stupid, instead, Ken's whole emotional thing is he realizes he is more or less just an accessory and becomes deeply, deeply disturbed by the fact that he doesn't really have any meaning?
It's such a poignant example of filmmaking on its highest level. The Greta has like gone on record of saying the reason why she took this film is because her original genesis point for the entire thing was, what if I made a gender-swapped version of Adam and Eve? What is the one story that already exists in modern culture where the woman was first and then the man was birthed after from her rib? It's Barbie and Ken, folks.
It's insane that's the way she took it.
It's so smart. It's insane. Like, how did she's so big brained. I can't.
It's an incredible pull, and so like we'll probably be getting into, I mean, we've talked about the setup. We've talked about a lot of like the casting choice. We've talked about how like just genuinely solid it is. There's a lot of stuff I want to get into that kind of, I guess, verges on spoiler territory.
Yeah.
So
you've already got like 40 minutes out of us, folks. If this hasn't already established that you should
please
see this film.
It's incredible.
Go see it.
It is incredible. If you can see it in theaters, I highly recommend it. You know, the bigger the screen, the better. This is one of the most brilliant looking films that I have seen in ages. Like, in terms of direction, the sets are all fucking phenomenal. The outfits are all fucking phenomenal.
Every physical effect and comedic punch landed in a way. When the dog was rolled out as a physical, real, fucking like felt created plastic doll with poop coming out the back of it, I couldn't stop crying. It was it was genius.
There's like that.
It was comedic value to the point where I was like, I didn't know Greta had this in her. I really didn't. I was like,
these are some of my
so
favorite
demented.
like, set designs in anything. Like, I would love to see, because there's like shots as well of like the ground or certain things that have like a plastic texture to it.
Oh,
like,
the whole thing
they
is
work.
Like that whole set is physical.
Yeah, the whole Barbie
there's no
land
part of
set
it that isn't.
is like really. It feels so real, but it feels fake.
Yeah, it's this horrible uncanniness that is like.
Yeah, because everything's plastic, and it all just, there's like a lot of gags as well that are like, it's good, it's great, it's wonderful, good film. You know, I'm just gonna say, go ahead and see it in theaters if you can.
Go see it. Get the Blu-ray. It'll probably come to streaming services at some point. Just like, this film is not going to go away. I'm sure there are some people in our audience, and even maybe our friend group or whatever, that feel like this is a joke, or this is
not at all.
Coffee and Dem on their bullshit. This film is life-changing.
It's really fucking good.
And I mean this in the most non-critical, sad, nihilistic opinion of like modern cinema. This is the most important film that is released this year, because it is a film that is about movies. It's about being alive, and it's about essentially, what if you did create a film that was on everybody's mind? How do you kind of live up to that? And you kind of just do whatever you want, and that's why it's so entertaining.
Yeah.
I think this movie is gonna probably be like shown in film schools. This film is going to be considered one of like
I would hope so,
like
because it deserves it.
craft.
That's what it deserves. Like, I hope it gets that treatment instead of just being. My genuine fear is that this thing is going to be treated as, oh, it was a hit, and instead of like learning anything about why it's a hit, or decide, like, I feel like this is going to be treated the way animated movies get treated. Basically, is what I fear.
God, I hope
where
not.
Because it's quote unquote a kids movie, it's not worthy of like actual looking into or praise, because there's like genuinely a lot of directorial stuff that's phenomenal, set building stuff's phenomenal. Like, this thing should be getting nominated for almost every single category. And if it is not,
I will
then,
say,
like, fuck off. What are we doing here?
I will say, I don't see this film. I don't think there's any possible way this film isn't going to get every single nomination.
It better.
There is no
it
possible
needs
way.
to. There's literally
Because
no way it shouldn't.
We said the same thing for Everywhere All at Once last year, and there was a sense of sadness of there's a potential that the Oscars are just going to be racist. And then luckily no other films came out that were as much of a magic in a bottle scenario.
Yeah.
The same thing is going to happen with this.
I think it has to, because it did so well. Like, it's impossible to ignore.
This and Spider-Verse are going to be the two ones that people talk about, like, forward going. Because who the fuck saw fucking Indiana Jones and fucking Fleabag or whatever? Who gave a shit? Who gave a shit about that?
You don't care about digital
Like,
de-aged Harrison Ford?
Do you know if Mads Mikkelsen is in that
Is he?
as a Nazi who wants to go back to the past and time travel to make sure that Hitler stayed
Okay,
alive?
hang on, wait. You're selling me on dialogue.
Yeah, I know, right?
No, I'm
Same, honestly.
Now I'm in. If you're telling me Mad Mikkelsen is in, then like, yeah, I'll watch anything with that dude. There's a movie that's just him getting
love him.
drunk that I needed to watch at some point still.
Oh, that fucking, what is it, Fury? I love that movie. He's such an icon in that.
I need to watch that with him. But yeah, I love Mads. But yeah, no, I genuinely hope that this film gets like.
You know who's got Kenergy?
Who?
You know who's got Kenergy? Mads Mikkelsen.
Mads would have been a fantastic Ken as well.
Mm-hmm.
As just like he could have been like alcoholic Ken or something.
Yeah, absolutely.
Depression.
Well,
Ken.
yeah. It was funny after like we watched the movie. We had like the same discussion. We went to dinner afterwards, and everyone was like, "Oh, who was your favorite character?" And they were like, "Barbie."
Yeah.
It's just like, which one? Oh, Barbie.
Yeah, Barbie.
Oh yeah, she was great. I really liked Ken. I also really liked Ken. And Ken was great.
Yeah, Ken and Ken were all wonderful.
Yeah. And Ken.
And Ken too.
What about
yeah,
Ken?
Ken too.
Oh my God, he was so good.
So good.
Remember that line where he said Ken?
He did say Ken.
Yeah. So yeah, if you haven't, we're gonna talk some light spoilers here. Obviously, nothing like super crazy, but if you want to go completely kind of like sober,
yeah, this is your warning, because there's some stuff I want to talk about. And with that warning, now that the kids are gone, the adults can talk. So what I wasn't expecting this film to be about was, I expected it to more or less be, a story about growing up, because that, it's a movie that's about Barbie. I figured it's probably marketed towards kids. It's going to be a movie about like growing up and being a girl, and it is that. What I didn't think it would also be about is and I mentioned this to Coffee. Barbie is having her journey, which is learning how to like be an adult woman and learning that like the world has these unreasonable expectations that suck, and men kind of just suck, and the world is just like not very pleasant. It's not nearly as good or pretty or nice as you want it to be. There's also like a simultaneous journey that's happening with Ken, which I think a lot of people, the journey with Ken pretty much mirrors the journey of like a kid, like a little grown boy that is being subjected to like fucking Andrew Tate and the manosphere growing up. And that's what Ken gets basically red pilled in this film.
Well, that's why I said at the start of this podcast, if you bring a young boy to this film, you've created a good one. You've instilled a sense of hope in a child that can potentially lead to a better world, because this film, as you said, I would argue this film has like three main protagonists. It's Barbie, it's Ken, and I would argue America is
America is definitely the third there.
She is the audience surrogate in a sense, but she has her own arc, she has her own development, and I would argue she's potentially like the film's heart in a way. But both Barbie and Ken have like kind of varying versions of like the hero's journey. Whereas like something like Barbie's, I got a lot of whiffs of like, for whatever reason, it reminded me a lot of Forrest Gump of all things, because it's a person who has spent their entire life with one way of thinking, and they have essentially gone on a journey to find themselves without expecting that's what they're doing. And specifically, it's one tiny scene that really reminded me of it, when she's sitting on the bush and she's starting to realize that the world isn't what it is, and she's having emotions for the first time. And she looks over at this old woman, and then she just takes a second of, well, maybe things aren't as bad. And she says like, hello. And she turns to her and she says, oh, you're really beautiful. And like the old woman just says, I know. And it's a really sweet,
incredibly sweet,
really lovely moment that
very
is
sweet moment.
So poignant and so heartfelt. And like it is funny, but it's also like, it's optimistic, it's sweet, it's endearing, it's all these things, but it's like things that can be jokes can be both like making fun of something, but also loving something in a way, which is what this film is.
It truly is the embodiment of the tweet with the Garfield plushie that has been destroyed with time and being cuddled.
That's
with
that's,
the
to be loved is to be changed.
To be loved is to be changed is basically
which is what
the
this
core message
film
of
is
the
about.
film.
You have to change in order to grow as a person, as a doll, as a woman, as a man, as anything that this film is trying to talk about. You don't just start off that way. It's a long journey, and it's a long, difficult one at that. And something like Barbie, it acknowledges every single roadblock
it does.
That women have.
There's like
but doesn't do it in a gross way.
Oh, not at all.
Which is so like, Greta has such a knack for it. She presents things as jokes, like the scene where like Barbie is talking to Will Ferrell, and it's clearly this entire scene is getting more and more kind of yikes for Barbie, because she's gonna be literally put into a box,
that Will Ferrell,
which is such a good gag.
That Will Ferrell. So there's like there's like a whole thing of like Ken's getting fucking red pilled. He's learning about the manosphere, and then Barbie's like meanwhile dealing with Will Ferrell and stuff. And there's a scene with Will Ferrell which actually made me lose my shit, where she goes to visit like the board, and it's all dudes, because she's like,
which by the way,
hey, is there any women
I
here?
will point out one thing. The film in this kind of thing, like, oh, she's going back to like the company that made her, blah blah blah. In any other movie, it would be a title, or it would have like a fake name. It would be called like Whack Donalds or whatever. Like it would be a fake version of Mattel. It's literally just called Mattel.
It's Mattel, and they're very clearly
how. Like, yeah, they're clearly like, this is a company about that sells things to little girls, and it's made entirely by men in control, and like it's not even a joke. It is a joke, but it's also like,
treated as a joke,
it's horrible,
but
isn't
it's also just like, well, hang on, that's not good. Because Will Ferrell, during during the time where Barbie's like, there has to be at least like a single senior staff member that's a woman? And then Will Ferrell does a whole speech of just like, I love women. Women are so good. Women are the foundation of this company. I have Jewish friends. That made me like lose my shit. Because it's that exact type of like logic of somebody who's like clearly like aware that what their situation is like like there should be at least a single woman CEO member on that staff board, and they all know that there should be, but there isn't, and nobody's gonna change that.
Because that's like a complete inverse of what she has experienced her entire life. Because Barbie Land is essentially like a utopia for women. It is a scenario where the men are the considered the lesser, and they are the power givers. They are the ones with jobs. They're the ones with like lives, who have money and houses. All the Kens don't have houses. They don't live anywhere. They just disappear.
They just disappear.
And the
They're
single
like dogs.
one of the single funniest line deliveries of the entire movie is that Ryan Gosling does not have a job. His job is beach.
He just does beach, and he does it so well.
He does beach.
He does it so well.
He does beach as a job. That is a joke. That is like two word like delivery, and it is so funny. It is something you would like. It is a joke that May would say on stream, and everyone would keep saying it as if it was normal. I legitimately think saying your job is like sitting like something will become lexicon and it will become lingo, because that line delivery is so funny.
It's phenomenal. Yeah, he's great as that role, like especially early on. I mean, always, because he's playing basically like a child. Like that's kind of what the energy he's embodying is like a...
Sorry, the Kenergy.
The Kenergy he's imbibing is basically just a himbo. And he's doing it great.
Yeah.
Ryan Gosling's going fucking all out. He goes on his little journey, comes back, he introduces fucking manosphere bullshit into the Barbie world and like changes it up and becomes like his own little
There's horses everywhere.
There's such like a funny fucking... After like Ken takes back over, because the whole thing is Ken goes there, he gets imbibed with manosphere bullshit ideas that suck, and he brings those back, and then he like changes the Barbie land to be, you know, Kenville or whatever, and like there is a whole segment that I can totally understand why a whole subsection of the worst dudes on the internet got really upset at this film, because there's like a 30-minute span that's just making fun of like really fucking annoying dudes. Like there's constant jokes like that are incredibly pointed towards the audience of like incredibly just obnoxious types of guys. And I feel like if any one of those types of guys saw the film, they'd be like, wait, that's making fun of me.
Oh, they'd hate it.
That's making fun of me. Mm-hmm. What do you... Playing my guitar and playing a song for my girlfriend. That's just what I do, man.
Yeah, it was the line that, like, once all the Barbies get back control of Barbie Land, they're pretending as if they're still going along with it. And one of the lines is, you have to pretend that you're interested in hearing him talk about The Godfather for 3 hours. Fucking got such a
incredible,
absolute scream laugh out of me, I swear to God.
Yeah, that like whole
because I know that man. I know that man.
Losing their shit in my theater as well.
Yeah.
The
good.
pull
like,
out
I will
on
say
the scene where Ken's like singing a song to Barbie, and then it does like a slow pull out to reveal every Ken singing to their Barbie on the beach, is one of my favorite shots in this entire fucking film. It's such a good pull out shot. It's so fucking funny.
I will say, like, I know we're speaking like textually and like thematically about stuff. One of the funniest just bits, in my opinion, just like even like removing every element of like why this film is important, it's also just so funny. It's like on a visceral level. It's just like, it is knee slapper. Every second is not wasted. Every visual gag, every literal gag, every written gag is used that they possibly could, and none of them are crass, none of them are like annoying. They all pretty much work. But the one piece of comic writing that ruined me, and me and my friends have a theory that it was ad-libbed, because Ryan Gosling is a method actor, so elements of scripts can be changed for himself, because sometimes he does just say something on set and everyone's like, oh, actually, hang on, go with that. It's when Barbie goes back to Ken World and she's pretending that she's gone back to like bimbo Barbie, and she's going to pretend to be his girlfriend. And she knocks on the door, and Ken like opens the door, and he comes out with a book, and he says, "Oh, I've been reading." It's such a good line. And then she's like, "Oh, I want to be your girlfriend again." And he says, "Would you give me a minute?" Goes back in the house. You just see like him walk off screen, and a few seconds of silence. He just screams sublime.
He does, yeah.
Out of absolutely no, and it's such a moment that if you miss it, if you blink, you don't see it. But I remember I just looked over at my friend. I was like, "What was that?" It was
fucking rules is
so.
What that was.
It was electric. It was a moment that you do not see from actors anymore. The scene itself broke down in that moment where I was like, what am I watching? And I mean that in the most positive connotation possible. This is a film that shocks you, folks.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it just feels like a big thing of it is genuinely that it feels like everybody just kind of had fun making this thing. And that shows in the film a lot, because it really just does feel like it is a 2-hour-long film. It does not feel like a 2-hour-long film. I frequently think most films are too fucking long. This film
that's because perfect. You've got the attention span. You've got a terrible attention span, Dem. I will say that.
It's just that every film now is 2 or 3 hours long, and they don't often need to be. A lot of the time, they feel like they're kind of dragging their fucking feet, but this film doesn't. This film actually feels like it has exquisite pacing. For 2 hours,
it's so interesting.
It just feels because as a film, like it's great.
I thought it was both never gonna end, and it was it felt like it kept going in a way, not like oh god, here we go, in a way that I was like constantly impressed where the film was going.
Because the stakes just kept. I will say it kept doing things.
In regards to its length and like its structure, it's a sign of a film where we all remember the release of Avatar. We remember how white soccer moms across the world got what was called the Pandora effect, where people started to get sad that they were no longer on the beautiful Christopher Nolan world.
It's not Christopher. It's definitely not.
No, it's not Christopher Nolan. Guy. What's his name?
It's a different white guy. It's
What's his
James
name?
Cameron.
James Cameron. That's it. James Cameron's, beautiful, horny blue Pocahontas movie.
He just really
liked
dancing.
For whatever reason, he sure did. For whatever reason, the second one didn't hit for these people. Again, I did not see anywhere as much people talking about how they hate their real life because they're no longer on Pandora. I finally understand what that feeling is like.
Right, but for Barbie.
Damn, I wanna go back. I can't stay in this world. I left that film to be reduced back to the piss rain of Belfast. And I legitimately started to feel sad because I wasn't in Barbie Land.
I mean, that's
I was like, thank God I was with my beloved friends and I was having a great time. But in my heart of hearts, I said, it's not gonna get better than that. It's not.
That is rough. That's definitely.
What's the point?
What's the point?
We're not there.
We're not.
Well, hopefully the point is we could be.
It's true.
And that's what that movie is trying to say. It's trying to say this could be where we are. And maybe we should try to be where this is. At least. You know what I mean?
Genuinely thought it. So there's two. Like you mentioned, this movie's progression is fucking weird. It really does feel like kids playing for the simple reason of there really isn't the 3-act structure kind of doesn't exist for this film.
Not at all. Its structure is actually so insane.
Yeah, its structure is weird to a degree that at first I didn't really process it or think about it, but I was definitely so the first ending is simply everything back in Barbie Land is back to normal, except that Ken's now get a single representative in the government. They're basically going through Ken suffrages. They finally got a single elected official for them. So that's like
Thank God.
The weird thing is, right, because there's all these people that are like, this movie's woke or whatever, but the movie fucking ends on them specifically being like, okay, maybe a world that is like, obviously a world that is ruled by men fucking sucks, dog. It's bad. It's real bad. It sucks real bad for everybody. But it also then states that, like, it's also not great when it's specifically all women either.
One-sided,
then it's all one-sided. And they literally multiple times are like, Ken, they don't even know where Ken lives. It's not even a thought to them
I mean,
that Ken should live somewhere.
The idea in my mind is that, like, it's a film that it's addressing the problems of what we currently have in our society, that unfortunately on one foot it has gone the male side rather than the woman's side, and obviously this film is trying to say, to a degree, women's side is better, but Ken and every character who is presented to be a male force, they are not emasculated, they are not destroyed as people.
Not really at all.
It's that they themselves are part of the problem, and the problem is not easily fixed. And that this film, as I said, like, if people see it and understand that on such a way that it's a deeply human ending, because it kind of removes gender, it removes, like, the concept of, like, being better or good. Because even after all that, Barbie isn't content. She's realized, she's seen the issues with society, and she says, like, I can't go back to how it was.
Yeah.
I can't go back to Barbie Land, because Barbie Land, even in its utopia that it is, it's not real. And she has to take what she's learned from both the Kens, both Barbie, both the humans, and attempt to try and better herself and the world. And how does she do that? She just becomes a woman and acknowledges that she has to move forward. And the film, like, technically ends on a joke, and it's an excellent joke.
It is a joke, but I wouldn't even say it's like...
It's, you know what it is? My friend Casey said a really good element of why it is a joke and why its comedic timing works. Have you ever seen Some Like It Hot?
I have not. I'm afraid I have not.
So, Some Like It Hot is the film with Marilyn Monroe and two men basically dress up in drag to kind of get closer to her. It's like a very early... I couldn't tell you when it actually released, but, like, it's a very early kind of establishment of, like, drag and queerness to an element. Obviously not to what we know now. They're still considered jokes. It's kind of like, in a way, the original version of, like, White Chicks. But, like, there's a bit more there. But the last line of Some Like It Hot is one of the men has been kind of talking to one of the stewards on the train that the movie takes place in, and he legitimately thinks that this is a woman, and he's kind of fallen for her. The end of the movie, he saves he saves the guy that is in drag, and then he's like, oh, well, we could get together and blah blah blah, and then he takes the wig off and he said, oh, for the love of God, I'm a man, see? And then the steward looks at the camera and he says, nobody's perfect.
That's pretty good.
And it's such a beautiful, like, acknowledgement of, it is a joke, but it's also, no one is.
So this is
that's what the end line of Barbie is, essentially.
Yeah, it's
I'm a woman.
It definitely, like, the last line is fantastic.
Yeah.
No,
don't spoil it. Don't spoil it. There's no point. Like,
I think it's also very interesting that one of the first thing that is to show her, because the whole movie is about growing up. Like, that is what it is for.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, and I do find it, like, yes, it is a joke, but at the same time, well, it is a joke, it's also very smart to have that be, like, one of the first things that an adult character does, because that is something you have to do as an adult, is start to do that stuff and take care of
Consider your health, basically.
Like,
but it's also, you could argue that it's, like, kind of a celebration of being a woman as well, that, like, she has to acknowledge her body and like the changes
she has
that
to do like one of the most mundane, normal things every woman has to do, and I think that's perfect.
And that's turned into this kind of like hilarious light joke that like ascends the film off. In a way that is like, finally, Barbie has grown up. She has a vagina.
She has a vagina. But yeah, I mean, like,
and it's like, yeah, that's great.
Everything with that end. So like, there's the ending of they resolve everything in the Barbie land. But yeah, then like Coffee said, like there is, like that is the ending, for like what would be the main story. And then there's like 15 more minutes after that. That is just like Barbie goes and talks to Ruth, played by not Ruth. I don't know who actually it is that plays her.
Yeah.
But she does a wonderful job.
No clue.
But Ruth, the creator of Barbie, there's basically a character that is her, that shows up and gives Barbie advice throughout the movie. You know, she shows up like once before while Barbie's running, and it's a very cute scene. One of my favorite scenes in the film is that little scene. And then there's the end scene that is like a larger version of like teaching Barbie self-acceptance and you know, helping her become a woman, basically.
Teaching her that she never was, and you would argue that it is the most poignant element of the film. She never was owned.
Yeah.
Like, no woman is owned. It's just the self-perceived ideas that you are, which is so beautiful as a message to say.
Yeah.
In a film about dolls, that you break it down to its most structured level, and it's like, God, are we dolls? What is the difference, realistically?
It truly goes to some fucking places in that last little zone where it like everything up till then, you laughed, you cried, you listened to America's speech where she talks about being a woman and how literally nothing they do is ever enough. And how life has unreasonable expectations, and it's just never enough.
Yeah. But she ends it on such an element of, but it's worth it, and that's all that we can do is move forward and allow ourselves to make mistakes. And that scene is so poignant because she's saying it to both Barbie, but everyone in the room who are considered like the Mattel rejects. The fucking bit when I saw Quentin Reviews tweeted that the bit where the gay Kens showed up felt like screaming at an MCU reveal.
Yeah, when they showed up there.
The fact that Cockring Ken showed up, and Cockring Ken shows up, and one like visual detail that I adore about that scene is that Kate McKinnon's character, who's called Weird Barbie.
Yeah, Kate McKinnon's great.
At the beginning of the film, she is presented to be a doll who has been played with too much, is what the film says, which is essentially we've all been that point as a child when you just start drawing on everything and it like gets like knotted and fucked up. But it still has its worth because it's an element of play and it's an element of imagination. And that's what what her character role is. And then Kate McKinnon's like character morphs visually after Ken's have taken over, and she looks like angry lesbian boot camp.
Yeah,
she has like half her head shaved.
Great.
Because that's what men think opposition from women looks like. Which is so fucking smart when you actually think about it. That's why she visibly changed. No one else did.
That is true. She is the only one to visibly change. I didn't even think about that, but that is a very slight, subtle thing.
Yeah. And like she doesn't address it. No one's like, oh, you look different, because like it is just a visual kind of like metaphor. Well, I didn't even think about it, but I saw someone tweet about that the other day, and I was like, holy hell, that is legitimately like such a tiny detail, and this film is filled with so many of them that mean so many different smaller things.
Just in general, like everything about this film is just smarter than you could have ever possibly thought it was going to be. Like. This movie is one of the smartest films I think I've ever seen. It's incredibly intelligent about what it wants to say, and it does a fantastic, phenomenal job doing that and expressing those things without like stopping the movie to explain to you every step of the way what is happening.
Without being hard to watch, it's got the most to say.
Because it tells a story,
it's
but
a film that
says things with that instead of like. I don't know. It doesn't do the thing where it like feels like it stops pacing to make sure you get an allegory, or make sure you understand the importance of scene or anything. Like,
which is why I think like the film is so like razor detail packed with details. Even the OST stops at points to say notes and important parts, and the narrator also does the same thing. By the way, Helen Mirren absolutely hit it out of the park as the narrator of this film. She got some of the biggest laughs.
Perfect.
The bit where it's like Barbie's talking about how ugly she looks, and it's like the narrator comes in and says, "Editor's note: probably not a great idea to have cast Margot Robbie in this role for this point." It's like, that's so fucking smart.
That was an incredibly funny bit. Man, just like everything's multifaceted. Because even that bit, right? Like, there is the obvious joke of, Margot Robbie is obviously not like unattractive at all, and her saying she's unattractive is goofy. But like that also works as like, because there are people who no matter what, no matter how hot they are, you know, no matter how much they fucking slay, they'll still look at themselves and be like, I'm not good enough, I'm not hot, you know, I'm not pretty enough, I'm not perfect enough. And it's like, it's both that and the fact, like, of course it's Margot Robbie. She's fucking hot. It's Margot Robbie. It's like one of the most attractive women in Hollywood. What the fuck are you talking about? But it, like...
Even when you flip it on its head of what you're talking about from, like, an element of... like, even, like, the visual idea of, like, being a woman and a man, like, there's a certain level that you have to hit, essentially. And technically the perfect idea is Barbie and Ken. They are considered to be, like, in modern society, the peak of what you should look like.
Truly are Adam and Eve.
The film doesn't... It says that multiple times, and then, like, it has these critiques about Mattel, and then when you go back to the character of Barbie, she's so sweet, and so likable, and kind, and also multifaceted, and broken. And it presents like all these critiques on her head and Ken's head, and then you look back and you realize they're just stupid children because they have been playing their entire life.
Yeah.
And when they are essentially presented modernity and it's in its entirety, they break essentially. And everything is flipped, and it just kind of goes to show that, like, as even the peak of what things are supposed to look like, they don't even think they're perfect, because nothing is.
Yeah, I mean, like, that's the thing, is like their like whole journey is definitely them like opening their eyes to see the real world, and then after that it is very much a story of you kind of can't go back. There's no real going back there. Once you become an adult, you can like absolutely still, you know, as an adult, play with Barbie, you know, do childish things, but you cannot go back to being a child.
As you should.
And I feel like that's kind of a lot of what the message to me is, by the end of this film, is it very much felt like it was trying to say, like, amongst other things, because it is saying a lot of things, but like that theme of just like you can't go back to not knowing these things. Like, once you know of the world, once you know of it, you trying to not change is just kind of holding yourself back and hurting you. Versus like, but
also acknowledging that child is still you, and you never can grow up or reach a point where you're finished.
Yeah, you gotta have a little both.
That's what the film's kind of like core message, I would argue, is that like you'll never be exactly as you want to be. Much like no Ken can be just Ken, no Ken can be. They all have to be what they want to be in the moment and how they can better themselves, which is what I think this film could do for people. I think it legitimately can attempt to give some empathy back to
I would hope
because
so,
it is
it really needs it.
Yeah, it really does. It's a film that tries to like approach really difficult subjects of like sexism, about the glass, like the glass ceiling, and like the idea of, like, as you said, the kind of like alt-right, kind of like men's activist element.
The fact that Ken got
like,
pipelined into
transformed.
that was like, I was watching that happen and I didn't realize it at first, but I was like, oh, this is like Greta is actually genuinely just depicting like the experience a young man has growing up, where especially today it's more easy than ever to fall into that place of like, you know, the figures you look up to are these masculine figures who talk about these masculine things and how important men are, and like nothing else. And like, but that's not good.
It's not presented as like that's a villain either. It's just presented as that is a bad discourse that can ruin people.
It's just and presented as one-sided.
It should almost be,
by the end of it,
it should almost be presented as like not necessarily feeling sorry for, but seeing the empathy in another person who's being changed for the worse. Is such a beautiful way to look at that as a discourse. And obviously you can make the argument, hey, listen, is this film necessarily going to change the alt-right?
Oh, no.
Probably not. Will it change the ideas of some children and some adults who see it for the better? I hope so.
Yeah, I genuinely do hope that there are some kids out there that see this thing and would get deprogrammed a little bit, because it's very easy to be like, oh, this movie's about how women should rule over men, but like the entire core point by the end of the film is that that's wrong, and everybody needs to just be better.
Yeah.
That's kind of what it comes down to. Is everybody needs to be better and be more empathetic and listen to each other and just fucking talk, man.
There are very few movies that I finish and I still think about this degree in like a modern, like really 2023, you wake up tomorrow morning and you think about it. And it, like in a way how you like interact with people or like your job or whatever. And it's like this, and like recently I watched the second Pat Labor movie. Those are basically the robot movies where the guy who did Ghost in the Shell, Mamoru Oshii, was just given carte blanche to basically do whatever he wanted in this kind of like universe that already existed. And the second one is about, hey, being alive in like a modern state doesn't work in any way, and it will ruin you. And like even people who are happy in their lives, there's still an underlying sense of dread, which is what this film also does. There is such a level of dread to so much of the interactions in this film that are obviously offset with like kindness and humor, but it's still there and it's still omnipresent. And you can even argue the film being the biggest like success of the year is aware of that. Like success is not a good thing. Millionaires are not a good thing. Corporations are not a good thing. How do we fix it? We can't really.
Yeah, it's
which is, you have to find like a joy in that, in a sense, because that's kind of what the film is saying. It's like none of us are right.
Yeah, it definitely
none
doesn't
can go
I
forward.
definitely noticed, like with Mattel, yes, they're played up as like the villain of it for sure, but like even without that, this doesn't like. I'm sure this is going to reignite a lot of nostalgia for certain Barbies and stuff. This film being about Barbies is like, yes, it has a lot of the pieces, and like you can see they've obviously made a lot of the sets or the outfits or the characters based on those dolls to reference them, and like that's all there. Them being Barbies, I don't actually know that it matters that much on the film.
Like them as
like,
well?
I think it does. Is like
I think it does too. Like
setup and like they are Barbie, they are Ken, and all that stuff, and they're those characters. But I mean, like, so this to me it doesn't feel like, I don't know, it doesn't feel as much like unabashedly like, because there's a lot of like biopics that are about like, you know, a toy or a company or whatever these days, right? And most of those feel a lot like they're kind of trying to be advertisements for the product. This doesn't really feel like it's trying to be an advertisement for the product. It feels like a celebration
insane,
of Barbie.
Considering this movie's budget and marketing and product has been insane. Like,
it's weird, right?
It has been the most corporate, commercial, like view of a movie releasing I've ever seen. You can go outside and you can go eat a burger that's got pink sauce on it for no reason other than it's Barbie. It's fucking Barbie,
it's
baby.
It's weird how much because like the thing that strikes me is it seems kind of like they gave Greta the movie and said like, hey, make a Barbie movie, and then sort of just gave her the ability to do whatever the hell. I'm
like, shocked at the level that Greta got, to be honest. I really... but that really, in my brain, proves that she's such a goddamn real that she wouldn't allow this film to be made with her name without being what it is. She's not gonna do a Marvel movie.
There's already, I don't know if you've seen it, but there's already, like, stories about certain scenes and stuff. But one of them was that old woman on the bench scene. Apparently Greta had to fight to keep that in the film. Because producers wanted to remove it because they thought it ruined the pacing of the film, which is bizarre. It's weird, and it's also only like a 1-minute scene. What are you talking about?
But it's such a powerful moment to show
critical.
Like Barbie as a character. It's such a beautiful exchange that like again that is such an example of like why like we have this podcast to find those little moments in movies, and you don't see that anymore. You just see the producers change films, and I am shocked this film released in the way it did.
It really feels like she just got like her vision. It's 100%. Crazy what a movie directed by a director that actually can engage in their vision is, Because I'm certain there's going to be more stories that come out that are like the studio probably doubting it or being like, hey, you're not doing things that would be good for mass marketing. But like, this is now one of the most successful movie launches that has ever happened. It's sold incredibly well, incredibly well.
It's already made its budget back.
It's made its budgets back.
It's very impressive.
It has clearly performed incredibly well. So, like, my genuine hope is that studios see this and they go, we need to let directors do what they want to do more. And also just not be afraid to make movies that are fun.
Well, hopefully the writer's strike in tandem with that does, like, wake people up to realize that, like, not necessarily culture, but movie culture has been broken over the last decade or so.
Stagnant as hell. It is like it is.
It's hard. It's hard to
care. It
really
is. Like there's normally like definitely very good movies that come out every year. Still for sure that are like smaller studio stuff or just like the occasional big studio thing that's like really good.
That really
because
hits,
it's directed by somebody who has enough sway to get the fucking studios off their back or whatever, or like be trusted with an insane sum of money. But yeah, no, it has felt stagnant for a very long time to me. Like,
and I will say specifically, we're talking Hollywood. We're talking America cinema, not like any other like. I think European cinema is doing fine. I think like Eastern cinema is doing great.
Even a lot of like American cinema
I'm
that's
specifically
like is also doing great. Like there's really good films that do come
out.
It's just that there's not a lot of like the big movies like Barbie that get like a really big budget and get to be this are uncommon. They virtually they don't exist. Happen. Like there was another movie that just came out that I don't remember the name of. But it was one of the first like major rom-coms as well in like a century. What the hell is that movie called even?
We don't really get them anymore. It's a dead genre.
Yeah, there's like things are starting to, I feel like, make a comeback. And yeah, now with the writer's strike and everything, I'm hoping by the time all that stuff goes through, like there's maybe just more credit given to artists in general. Like maybe they're just allowed to actually do what they want to do instead of the current state, which is making like as bland of a pace
something
as possible.
They're told to make.
Because there needs to be more. There needs to be more Barbies, in terms of just like style, pop, like knowing clearly what you want to do and put on a film. And there needs to be a lot less of like people making the exact same films over and over again, like every superhero film has been for the past like century.
Which this film even acknowledged, like, and like even the line delivery that talked about superhero films wasn't like a wink and a nod. It was a joke that was like, it felt like a knife.
Oh yeah,
it felt
right,
so like,
one.
Yeah, it was like, it was both. I hate Marvel movies or DC movies. I also hate men. It's like, yeah, same, sis.
Yeah, that one was
Same.
that one was my
that was great.
Yeah,
so true,
that
bestie. So true.
Yeah, in general, I'm really hoping that this. I truthfully hope your thought that this is going to like cause an impact holds true, because it should. It should.
I hope so.
This should be the this should be the thing that tells people like bright poppy movie. Like, when was the last fucking time we got to see a film that was actually like a, you know, not just an animated film that actually had like color in it? Because most films have the same look. Maybe Wes Anderson. Wes Anderson's maybe the only other person who kind of does an aesthetic where like he plays with color. I don't really care. I don't really care about him at all.
We can't open the Wes Anderson box.
I have no desire to talk about any of his films aside from the fact I think a lot of his sets are really cool looking, and I think he actually plays with color, and I like that. Even if I don't care for his movies, I do like that a lot of his films use like pastels, bright colors, and all that. Like, I want there to be more of that. I want directors, I want movies to be less afraid of color, of, like, joy in the movie, in the sets. I want that to return. So, like, I genuinely hope that happens, because, like, there's a million Oppenheimers. There's a million movies that look like that have that same sort of color grading, that look realistic, that look boring. And there's not a lot of movies that look like Barbie. And, you know, gosh dang it, I want more.
Unfortunately, like, I don't necessarily know how to finish the concept or the discussion about this film, because much like as I said, it's a film that I am unfortunately...
I do need to interrupt you, because I will probably need to cut this out. But yeah, my wonderful girlfriend Tony brought me some ramen.
Aww.
No, you're okay. I'm just we're recording our Barbie thing. No. Yeah, you're fine. I'm gonna need to cut this. Well, actually, I probably won't cut this out. I'll leave it here. My wonderful wife just brought me some. I call her my wife. She's not my wife. She's my girlfriend. But she's wife in spirit. But she brought me a bowl of ramen to eat after we finish this. What a Barbie. She was wearing a like this frilly pink dress during the premiere as well. I was like, you need to dress up in like whatever your pinkest, frilliest outfit is.
Whatever you can get, whatever you can find, it needs to be pink.
I feel like that's basically, you know, that really sums it up. Put on your pinkest outfit. Put on your frilliest, pinkest outfit. Be as fucking as hot as you want, and go down to the theater and go see Barbie. God damn it. That's where.
Yeah, this is our petition. This is our what's the word? For your consideration.
Genuine. I cannot think of a single film that could possibly surpass this year. I like genuinely to me.
It's not Wonka.
Are you not excited for the film Wonka? The film.
I kind of am,
everybody's
but
been asking for it. Everybody wants it. The kids wanted it.
You know what, gang? I will sit up and say, Timothée Chalamet doing the most deranged, gay little gremlin twink character I have ever seen in my life is kind of camp, and I am looking forward to that film just for that. His line delivery of "flip that, reverse it" has been living in my brain for quite a while. Hugh Grant can fuck off. The idea of him as a fucking Oompa Loompa, and Oompa Loompas even on their own context are racist as fuck.
They sure are.
I've got a lot of opinions. I've got a lot of opinions about Willy Wonka. That franchise, I got some real angry takes on.
Willy Wonka a franchise feels like it shouldn't.
It's weird, isn't it? It
really
is
shouldn't
though.
Be that.
No, it should be one movie
film.
and a book.
And yeah, the books.
It should. Yeah,
Like,
that's it. But no, we kept going.
We've done like 3 reboots now, huh? Or we're on the 3rd one. Because there was also that Jim Carrey one.
Yeah. Jim Carrey?
Do you not, the Willy Wonka with Jim Carrey.
Hey, Dem, do you want to do me a favor?
Is it not Jim Carrey? As Willy Wonka?
Do you want to just do a little quick? Do you want to
Hang
do a
on.
little quick Google of who's in that film? Viewers at home, this is incredible.
Oh, sorry. No. I'm
Can't
thinking.
believe
I'm
this is
thinking of the. Sorry, it's Johnny Depp. I'm thinking of. I'm sorry.
There you go. Jim
I'm
Carrey.
sorry. All white men look the same to me. I'm sorry. I apologize.
I mean, I will say that I would be down to watch Jim Carrey play Willy Wonka. That would be pretty incredible.
My apologies. I got confused there, and I was talking about the hit film Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Oh boy, what a film.
Yeah, Tim Burton. We'll talk about that film someday
Will
in
we?
this podcast. It'll have its dues. Yeah, not necessarily a good way. Don't worry. We just gotta talk about it. I will say, like, we do need to wrap this up because this film is this podcast has gone on long enough. I think Willy Wonka is the British version of Barbie.
Like the original?
I'm not gonna expand on my.
Okay, yeah, you're just gonna leave me with that nuke and then just kind of, you drop.
Mm-hmm. Just like I'm gonna leave you with that Oppenheimer.
Great.
Gang, go see Barbie. It's the most important movie of the decade.
It's really good, gang.
We need to like have a groundswell of like actual support for this film because I finally understand what K-pop stands.
I mean, good news. It's one of the most
important.
successful films in cinema currently. So it's
know.
doing really
So
good.
happy.
I'm so like the Barbenheimer thing is like, truthfully, I could not care less about that other film. But
Same.
the fact it has brought so much press to Barbie, it seems like genuinely more than anything. Like, yes, the Barbenheimer thing is something that has brought people in. But I think if you look at the numbers, you can see that Barbie, even without, like, you can see that Barbie is basically making significantly more money than that Christopher Nolan film.
And even if it's not,
oh no, it is. It is by like a lot. Actually,
good, okay.
It's quite in the lead. And I think it's truthfully just because like people were ready for a movie like this for a long time. And like when Barbie came out, people were kind of universally like, from the moment this thing was introduced and during its entire press run-up, I cannot think of a single person who was like, yeah, man, I don't want to see Barbie. Everybody I talked to, granted, I'm in a lot of like queer circles and shit like that, but literally everyone I talked to was like, yeah, man, it's fucking Barbie. I want to see fucking Barbie. Like everybody was into it. Everybody was excited.
A real sense of optimism for this film, which I would just implore everyone to go about with a But to be fair, that's what happens when a large scale like summer blockbuster actually has like craft and love and time put into it, and a script that actually is trying to say something about the human condition.
Could you imagine that?
Which we do not see anymore.
Imagine having a movie that has like an actual thing to say, and has like a direction, like a unique direction. That's crazy. That's crazy. That's wild.
I know.
Anyway, Mission Impossible just came out. Hey, everybody!
Yeah, Mission Impossible,
you watch
folks.
Mission Impossible. What's this one? It's the 16th one or whatever.
Yeah.
I love
movies. As Dem said at the beginning of this podcast, I love cinema.
I love the movies.
Dem. 2023. You love da movies. The movies are back, folks.
The movies are back. And
grab yourself some popcorn. Make sure you sprinkle some pink food coloring over it.
Get some of that pink sauce from TikTok that might be poison.
Yeah, get some poison pink sauce. Go dress up in pink. Paint your nails. Go see the Barbie movie. Have a great time. The only thing I can really say is, just life's fantastic, wrapped in plastic.
You're so right. I mean, with that, do you wanna end it?
Yeah. I think we've said all we need. Well, the one last thing I want to shout is the soundtrack is absolutely banging, and everyone.
Oh yeah, no, it's fucking great.
We
haven't even talked about the fucking musical, the Ken song.
Oh,
it's phenomenal.
Ah!
It's like they're so good. They have the Ken song is like the big musical number. It's fucking amazing.
I
but
didn't
like every
expect
song is
it.
amazing.
I did not expect the Ken song to go as hard as it did. I was
It's
so
wild.
the one that I mostly this film was inescapable in terms of like if you're gay and you're on TikTok, you will hear almost every song that is in this movie. But luckily, I did not hear Ken. And I did not hear Billie Eilish's incredibly sad song at the end of the movie. Because those two are such poignant, beautiful pieces of using music as both like comedy and textuality. That like the Ken sequence that's in my opinion where the film begins to break down in reality. Because what modern film breaks into a dance sequence in literally a traditional Jets versus whatever, like two warring sides of men in black lycra outfits doing a dance off against each other in a white void. You don't see that anymore, but it happened.
It was
beautiful.
Kind of insane that like it. God, what a fucking film! It had big
Film of the
musical
summer.
numbers.
Film of the summer.
It had everything. It had everything you need. The music in it was wonderful. I was blown away by it. I still have like a lot of it stuck in my head, and I'm not even like that much of a musical person.
No, you're
compared
not.
to Coffee, so that should be telling you something.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just everyone did great. Barbie Ferreira America Ferreira needs to be in more stuff.
She's incredibly good.
I originally thought Charlie XCX's song on the soundtrack was mid, and then I actually heard it in motion when she is doing the chase sequence, and it works so well. Dua Lipa's song didn't get old. I didn't even realize both Lizzo and fucking Tame Impala had a track on this goddamn OST, because apparently they just grabbed random people. And they
there's
all
like
fucking hit.
everybody.
Everyone
There's
is on
everybody
this
here.
goddamn thing.
Truly, this is like the Avengers, but for the gays.
Pretty much.
In a lot of ways.
This was our MCU.
I couldn't believe it when there was like a fucking Tame Impala drop in that film.
Yep. Shocker.
When I
Insane.
heard that, I was like, what? Why is Tame Impala here? What's going on?
Why wasn't this advertised? Okay. So much of this film isn't advertised. That's the best part.
Yeah, I
They
wasn't
did such a
expecting a
good job.
musical number actually sung by Ryan Gosling.
Mm-hmm.
That's for sure. Like I wasn't expecting
So
that.
good.
I wasn't expecting Ryan Gosling to actually sing for me, but I'm happy he did.
I mean, you know, he sung in La La Land. And that was a huge success.
I've never seen it actually.
It's all right. I think it's aged pretty badly.
Oh no.
No, not in like a oh yikes way. In like a okay, well maybe let black people talk about jazz.
Oh no.
But it's it's one of those. It's one of those.
Uh-oh.
Emma Stone's great in it. She's really good in it. I saw Damien Chazelle. He's the director of La La Land. He did a movie last year called Babylon, and Margot Robbie is in it. That is the anti-Barbie movie. That is the single worst film I think I've ever seen.
Okay, well that's...
Should we actually... You know what, guys? Spoilers for the film Babylon. Don't worry, Dem, I'm not going to take up too much of your time. Babylon is a film that attempts to talk about the height of the Hollywood success story, essentially.
All right. Yeah.
And, like, the beginning of cinema. Very kind of, like, pilled to adore, like, Hollywood as, like, an aesthetic.
Yeah.
It ends with all the characters who have gone through the Hollywood story realizing that it is a broken system that doesn't work, and blah blah blah. It's not as
so far it doesn't
interesting
sound
as
so...
no, it's not
so
as
bad.
It's not as interesting as what I'm actually saying, but that's essentially where the film gets to. You know, some scenes are great. There's a really good scene with Margot Robbie where she's doing like the first sound test, and it kind of like breaks down of how difficult those actually used to be in order to record in like films, because they were figuring out how to record sound for the first time properly, which is great. That's a good scene, but like a lot of them are just really annoying. But the film ends with the main character going to a movie theater years later to go just see and experience a film because that's what he loved to do and craft. The film then breaks down Evangelion style, where the film begins to randomly show spatterings of different films throughout all of history, some of which, you know, really important cinematic marvels, some like huge moments. It goes even far as back as like, you know, the locomotives coming into the train and stuff like that. And like you see like Salvador Dali stuff, you see like really important films from the 70s, you see like Cabaret and stuff. And like it is essentially just Damien Chazelle being like, look, I love damn movies. Basically.
Yeah.
But I have to break away this veil. The film continues to spatter through these films, and the films get less and less contextual and important to cinema, and some like as he goes further. What do you think is the last movie that he shows? The build-up of all cinema. What do you think Damien Chazelle thinks is the highest point of cinema in a modern sense?
In a modern sense, I don't know.
The film released the same year, so 2022. It released the same year. Yeah, same year as Babylon. The same release schedule, basically.
I don't know, man. Fucking like Avatar or something weird.
The film ends on a 4K widescreen shot of Avatar: The Way of Water.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. That. Yeah.
I was seething angry when I left that cinema. That
is like the most boring possible take of like what's the most influential movie of the modern.
No, I would even have more respect if he said the first Avatar. He said the fucking second one that no one saw or cared about.
Yeah, that is kind of wild that he chose the second one over the first one.
No,
he didn't. First one.
Damn, that's a paycheck. Come on.
That's fair. That is just a paycheck.
That is a big money sign for Damien Chazelle. And that's when I said he, as a director, doesn't matter anymore because he has shown his true colors. Avatar: The Way of Water, folks. Go see it on 4K Blu-ray or whatever.
Yeah, I think the real message of today's episode is everybody should go see Avatar: The Way of the Water, now available with 4K on whatever fucking streaming survey. What is it, Paramount or something? Who gives a shit? Go watch Avatar. That's the takeaway.
That's a perfect example of like that is a film that. Thank God Babylon actually did not strike out at the Oscars last year because I really had a horrible feeling that it would do really well. And luckily last year was one of the first time I've ever seen the Oscars present almost every important award to the people who deserved it, which was Everything Everywhere All at Once. It was a year of everyone who came on stage. I went, oh, thank God.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I trust you.
That is a nice change of pace, yeah.
We can only hope for that for Barbie. We can only hope that
Barbie
this is not a Babylon.
Barbie's sweet better be real, is the only thing I'll say.
Better be real.
Because it deserves it way more than like any film I could possibly imagine. But
I think the only way to really finish this is Dem, did you ever play with dolls? Like, did you ever play with a Barbie?
I didn't really play with a Barbie because it was like me and my brother, but like I have in passing via either like stepsisters or such.
Mm-hmm.
I was a fucking child, so I like Transformers and shit growing up.
Well, I was clearly a faggot the entire time, so I didn't get Barbies. I would play with Barbies at like other girls' houses and stuff, just to be like, oh, this is where I'm allowed to go play with Barbies, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But my parents gave me a middle ground.
Was it? Please
so they were like,
brats?
No, that would probably have changed who I am. All my friends who know me know that I am a collector of Sylvanian families. They are a toy collectible series that are basically small like woodland creatures in cute little outfits. That was the middle ground that my parents allowed me to have, essentially. And as an adult, I have taken up collecting them again. And the Barbie movie made me realize that you can't really let go of the child that you had because it's still you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, this Barbie fascination that has come back and swooped the nation, it is just everyone's inner child going, oh, thank God. Thank God we can go back to this.
It's true.
And then when they actually see it, they go, oh, I never left it. Unfortunately, Barbie left me, but I never left it because this is the world that we live in.
Barbie is always there. Barbie is always there for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
This truly is, like, genuinely, because that's kind of also the whole thing with Toy Story, right? This truly is the Toy Story for the modern generation.
I would argue
what if a Toy Story movie was good after the third one? They're making a fifth one of that, you would say. Barbie, everyone!
Joe, in the cinema, there was an ad for a Disney movie called Wish. And I was just like, what is this? What are we doing?
What are we doing here?
What are we
Who's
doing?
This for?
Just let me see Barbie.
I would like to see Barbie. And since I was in my smaller theater, we didn't actually see, like, there were ads for other movies, but you couldn't possibly ask me to tell you a single one. Of the ads that I saw. I did not remember them. The only thing in my head at the time was Barbie. How fast can I see Barbie? Put Barbie on the screen. Put Barbie on the screen. Your brain was just blaring the hit Aqua song Barbie Girl. It's true.
Over and over again in your head. Your synapses were firing off.
I was ready. I was ready to be a Barbie girl.
In a Barbie world.
In a Barbie world.
Life's fantastic. Wrapped in plastic. Bye, folks. Go see Barbie.
Go see Barbie. Take care. And yeah, we. I mean, I don't.
Treat each other better.
Yeah, treat each
other better. Way better. Treat each other like Margot Robbie treats people in this movie.
Honestly, yeah. Like everybody, just fucking be nice to each other. God, Christ.
Yeah. Say hello.
Say hello. Walk up to the nearest person and just say hi, Barbie. And we can change the world
Ken.
together.
Yeah.
Yeah. Say hi, Barbie, or hi, Ken. And they can also respond back either hi, Barbie, or hi, Ken. And that's it. That's all you need.
That's all you need.
That's all you need. That's my truest takeaway. But yeah. So with that, I don't know.
Go watch it.
Go watch Barbie. God damn.
God. It didn't take 2 hours to say that. Just go see it. Jesus.
What can I do for you? Show me in you the whole with the silences.